Hi, welcome to function operations, some examples. Our essential question is, how do we add, subtract, multiply, divide, or perform a composition of functions? We're going to have about 5 examples that we do. Our first example is for addition. And in this particular example, we want to take f of x equals 4x squared plus 2x minus 1, and g of x equals 5x squared minus 8, and we want to find f plus g of 3. First thing we're going to do is we're going to add our two functions together by combining like terms, and then we're going to simplify. So I'm going to take f of x, which is 4x squared plus 2x minus 1, and I'm going to combine it with g of x by addition. So I'm going to add 5x squared minus 8 to it, and I'm combining like terms. So this is f plus g of x. Combining like terms, I see that I have 4x squared, I have 5x squared, and I'm adding them together. They're both positive, so I get 9x squared. I also have a 2x. No other x's involved, so plus 2x. And then I have this minus 1 and this minus 8. Minus 1 and minus 8 makes a minus 9. So step 1 is complete. I've combined my like terms together by addition. Now I'm ready to go to step 2, which is to substitute 3 in for each x. So now I'm going to take out the x's and I'm going to replace them with a 3. So take out the x, leave parentheses open, take out the x, leave parentheses open, and now plug in to those parentheses the number 3 because that's what it asked me to plug in. Last but not least, my third step after I've substituted in the 3, my third step is to simplify, and then we will be finished. So I'm now going to simplify this following my order of operations. I've got 3 squared. 3 squared is 9, so I have 9 times 9 plus 2 times 3 minus 9. As I multiply this, 9 times 9 is 81. 2 times 3 is 6. Take away 9. Combining all of these together, 81 plus 6 is 87. Take away 9 is 78. So f plus g of 3 is equal to 78. And that is my final answer. I don't know what's up with that. Okay, go ahead and pause and copy this down into your notes. Okay, now for the next example. In example 2, we have g of t is equal to 3t minus 9. H of t is equal to 5t plus 4. And this time we want to determine g of 6 take away h of negative 2. Now in this particular example, you'll notice that in the previous one it was telling us that we were taking f plus g and it had those combined together in parentheses, so that meant that we had to do that first. Order of operations, we had to do what was in the parentheses. When you come down here and look at this second example, you'll notice that they are separated. So this time my first step is to substitute the given number, in this case 6, into g, and then I'm going to take the negative 2 and substitute it into the h. Now I'm going to do that first because the g and the h are not combined in parentheses together. So my first step, substitute 6 into g and then negative 2 into h. So let's go ahead and do that. So I've got my g of t equation equals 3t minus 9. So I'm going to take out the t, replace it with a 6. So leave parentheses. Minus 9, 6 goes into the parentheses. 3 times 6 is 18. Take away 9. So I get that g of 6 is equal to 9. Come over here, do the same thing for my h of negative 2. So h of t was 5t plus 4. I'm going to take out the t and replace it with a negative 2. So negative 2 is going to go right there. So 5 times negative 2 plus 4. Simplify. I get negative 10 plus 4, which is equal to negative 6. So h of negative 2 is equal to negative 6. So step 1, I substituted in. Step 2, I simplified. So starting right here is where we simplified. Okay, we simplified the expression. We got g of 6 was 9, h of negative 2 was negative 6. So now we're ready for step 3. Step 3 says, now that you have these two values, we are going to subtract g of 6, take away h of negative 2. So I'm just going to substitute my values in there. G of 6 was equal to 9. H of negative 2 was equal to negative 6. So I just substituted in negative 6 here, 9 here. 9 take away a negative 6. Be careful, we got a double negative here. Double negative makes a positive, so we got 9 plus 6, which is equal to 15. So g of 6 take away h of negative 2 equals 15. Go ahead and pause and record your answer. Okay, now for the third example. This time we're going to be dealing with multiplication. We have g of x is equal to x squared minus 1. H of x is equal to 3x plus 2. We want to find g times h of negative 3. Now notice this time the g and the h are together in parentheses. So because the parentheses, the g and the h are in the parentheses, we're going to do this first. So we are going to multiply first, which is what I show over here in the steps. So we're going to take function g of x, which is x squared minus 1, and we are going to multiply that by function h of x, which is 3x plus 2. We have two binomials that we're multiplying together, so we need to use FOIL. So we're going to do first times first. X squared times 3x is 3x cubed. Then we're going to do the outside numbers. 2 times x squared, we get 2x squared. Inside numbers, negative 1 times 3x is a negative 3x. And then last times last, negative 1 times 2, we get a minus 2. If you can, you combine like terms together. If you look at all of these, though, they all have different exponents, so I cannot combine any of these together. Step 2 has already been done. There's no simplifying to do. But if you have terms that can be combined, you need to go ahead and do that in the second step. Next step. Step 3 says to simplify, or excuse me, to substitute negative 3 for each x. So now we're going to go to each x, and we are going to plug in a negative 3. So take out the x, leave an open space. Take out the next x, leave an open space. Take out the next x, leave an open space. Each one of these sets of parentheses, I'm going to be plugging in negative 3. So negative 3 goes 3 times negative 3 to the third power, 2 times negative 3 to the second power, and then minus 3 times negative 3, and then minus 2. Simplifying, step 4, almost done. Negative 3 to the third power is a negative 27. Negative 3 to the second power is a positive 9. Negative 3 times negative 3, positive 9. Negative 3, or a minus 3 times a negative 3, gives me a positive 9 again, because this negative and this negative become positive, and then minus 2. 3 times a negative 27 is a negative 81. 2 times 9, 18. Plus 9, minus 2. Last but not least, combine them all together. Negative 81 plus 18 my brain is a little slow right now. Negative and a positive. The negative is bigger, so it's going to be bigger. So I take away my 18, and we get 63. Negative 63 plus 9. Again, a negative and a positive. Going to be subtracting. The 63 is bigger, so that will be negative. 63 take away 9 is it's the end of the day. My brain's working a little slowly here. A negative 54. Take away 2 is a negative 56. So final answer, negative 56. Go ahead and pause and okay, example 4. This time we want to take f of x equals 4x minus 5, g of x equals 3x plus 1, and we want to determine g divided by f of 2. So step number 1, since we have this in parentheses, we are going to divide g by f first. So I'm going to take my g function. It goes on top because that's what it shows. So we're going to put 3x plus 1 on the top. And the f function, 4x minus 5, goes on the bottom. So far, we have g of x divided by f of x. And then the next thing we're going to do, we're going to simplify it if possible. These x's right here I cannot cancel out because this is addition and this is subtraction. You can only cancel out x's if you have multiplication all the way across. So no simplifying. So now we go to step 3. Substitute. We're substituting in 2 for x. So for each x, I'm going to take out the x and replace it with a 2. Same thing on the bottom. Take out the x, replace it with a 2. My last step, for me to find g of f of 2, or g divided by f of 2, is I'm going to simplify the top, simplify the bottom, and then see if I can simplify the fraction. So in the top we've got 3 times 2, that's 6, plus 1. In the bottom we've got 4 times 2, that is 8, take away 5. So finally simplifying, 6 plus 1 is 7, 8 minus 5 is 3. If you can simplify the fraction, you do it, otherwise you leave it alone. And our final answer, g divided by f of 2 is equal to 7 over 3. You may leave it as an improper fraction as long as 7 and 3 have nothing in common. So this would be your final answer. Go ahead and pause and record. Okay, now for the last example. Yay! Okay, hold down the applause. Now we're doing a composition. My function for f of x is equal to 5x squared plus 1. G of x is equal to 4x minus 5. We want to find g of f of 1. Now, over here on the side, I have an important message for you, and that message is you always start from the inside when you're working a composition. Start from the inside and work your way out. So we're going to start with f of 1. So step 1 is determine what f of 1 is. So we're going to take 1 and plug it into f of x and simplify and see what you get. So plug 1 into f of x. So let's go ahead and do that. So f of 1 is equal to, bringing this function down here, 5, take out your x, square whatever you're plugging in, and then add 1. So into that little void, I'm going to plug in 1. So I've got 1 squared. 1 squared is equal to 1. 5 times 1 plus 1. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6. So f of 1 is equal to 6. Now that I've found f of 1, I'm now ready to go to step 2, which says plug f of 1's answer into g of x. So now that I've found f of 1, now all of that is going to go into g. So my next step is to take and plug the 6 into my g function. So g of x was equal to 4x minus 5. So this 6 is going to come in here and replace this x. So I take out the x, leave an open space, plug in the 6. 4 times 6 is 24. I'm now on the simplify part. 4 times 6 is 24. Take away 5, and my final answer is 19. So g of f of 1 is equal to 19. Go ahead and pause and record, and you're done. Yay! We'll see you tomorrow. Remember, if you have any questions, put little questions and ask about them during class tomorrow. Thanks. Bye.